these miracles of these voyagers that started to discover all these islands. It's like the eighth wonder of the world. How did they do that so far back in time? There was two things of genius in Polynesia. Someone needed to build a vehicle, a spaceship of our ancestors that could sail far, when no other culture on the earth was sailing far. The other is you had to navigate to find a way to and from. The navigator needed to be able to see, it needed to be able to hear, it needed to be able to feel. Every day that navigator would maybe making 5,000 observations of a wave or a bird or a star. It would make 500 choices about trim, course, steering, and then it would make 2 decisions. At sunrise and sunset, in the color of light of dawn and dusk, it would make decisions about where are you on the earth. I think we are where we are on the planet today, where human beings are changing the earth. It is now turning around and changing us, and we don't know what to do because we disconnected. The greatest thing we need to do is become family of the earth again, family of nature. The greatest naturalist I've ever met was my teacher, Mount Kealig, who transcends the observation of nature to what he calls the magic. It is about when the human existence becomes part of the family of nature, that you are nature. The thing about Mao, the day he was leaving, packing his bag, he sat me down and said, okay, Nainoa, I give you everything, and the ocean showed you everything, but it'll be 28 years before you'll see. If you want someone to know everything, send your son, because you're too old. That's a crucial piece of cracking the code. And it's when we teach our children. When do you learn the connection? When do we learn verbal language? When do we learn the language of nature? And that's the language we need to immerse ourselves. We need to bring it back. We need schools of nature immersion globally. And that's why we're voyaging. To just getting general awareness to half the population of the earth, getting understanding to a quarter population of the earth, and getting the sense of values back to 1 billion people. And then going down the road from values, you need to reinstate respect. Then you need to reinstate care. And then from there, where values are now moving to action, that's when you need to help strengthen a community and a culture that's global, not based on race, but based on values.
Caring for this beautiful earth and each other is more vital now than ever. We're facing so many challenges, but when it comes to the environment, Hawaii is at the center of 2 of the most pressing of those challenges: the climate crisis and the race to find and expand clean, renewable energy. But Illumination Hawaii isn't just about the dire problems we're facing, it's about hope. We'll show you the incredibly diverse efforts and the innovative solutions charting the way here in Hawaii, navigating a path toward a resilient and sustainable future. And we hope to inspire new conversations around adapting to and mitigating the effects of climate change, transforming clean energy. And we have to conserve our natural resources and create an economy based on a minimal amount of carbon output. It's all possible, and in fact, we're already on our way.
Aloha. It is wonderful to be back in Hawaii, and I want to welcome all of you to Illumination Hawaii, Summit on Energy and Climate. When I was president, we had a climate action plan to reduce oil imports, increase renewables like wind and solar, and preserve our forests. And that's exactly what you're doing right here in Hawaii. When I was in office, we joined the Paris Agreement, which created a framework for how nations can work together to confront the threat of climate change. Even though my successor withdrew from the deal, Hawaii was the first state to pass a law committing to the goals and limits of the Paris Accord. Hawaii also has the most ambitious climate goals in the nation. This was the first state to set a 100% renewable energy goal, and you're on track to meet it ahead of schedule. Hawaii is set to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2045, if not sooner. So in many ways, Hawaii is a model for the rest of the country and the rest of the world when it comes to climate change. But we all know there's more work to do. That's why it's important to keep setting ambitious goals, keep working to meet them, keep getting more people involved, and keep talking to your friends and relatives about why this matters.
Welcome everyone. So excited to have all of you here on this panel. We're talking about our precious home and climate change, and it's a conversation we know is happening all over the world.
It's the connection between land and man. And at the crux of climate change, we're talking about our relationship to this place, to island Earth, to Hawaii. Our kuleana is to take care of the land. And here in Hawaii, we have a special opportunity to do that because ecologically, socially, the diversity that this land has raised within us is just such a gift and a privilege.
It really is about that relationship with each other, how we think about how we occupy space, and how we also reinvest, restore, regenerate, and stay connected with these places.
We really need to rethink our relationship with the land, with each other, and Hawaii, of all places, can do this. Not only do we have the first climate change group here, but we were the first state in the country to vote for 100% renewable energy by 2045. That's amazing. And so I think we have a lot that we can be proud of and that we can show the rest of the world.
The centerpiece of our summit, Illumination Village, an interactive learning experience that highlights innovative solutions for today and the future. Welcome to Illumination Hawaii's Village of the Future. Here at the village entrance, the Hawaii State Energy Office, and appropriately so, it's leading our state in its shift to a clean energy future.
The mission of the Hawaii State Energy Office is to promote energy efficiency, renewable energy, and clean transportation to achieve a resilient, clean energy economy. Hawaii is the first state in the nation to make a binding statutory commitment to be 100% renewable in our electricity sector, and also the first state to commit to a net negative greenhouse gas emissions target.
As an island state, climate change threatens our economy, culture, environment, and the sustainability of our way of life. That's why I announced our commitment to providing $100 million for a climate impact fund steered by the Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Commission. We're committed to pursuing climate change strategies that are equitable, culturally responsive, and resilient. This includes looking at the resiliency of the power grid, renewable energy, sustainable transportation, land use planning, sea level rise, health, natural and cultural resource impacts, and much more.
Our vision, business strategies, and regulatory policy changes needs to align utilities' business models with customers' interests and state public policy goals. While we have made great strides in modernizing our regulatory approach, we must continue to be forward-thinking and innovative to create a sustainable future with 100% renewable energy.
Climate change has already impacted Hawaii. Particularly, there is a small trend of sea level rise in Hawaii, although the projections are that this is going to rise substantially in the next coming decades. We see flooding of streets that we never saw previously, as well as incidents of these really large rain events.
What we are seeing is air temperatures are rising. We're seeing sea levels and sea surface temperatures rise. We're seeing rainfall and stream flow decrease. We're seeing storms that are more intense, and we're also seeing our ocean getting more acidic. As we know that it's hotter now and it's drier, we can see that some of our forest areas are more prone to fires.
Here in Hawaii, we are very close to our environment. And as islands in the Pacific, we feel directly the impacts of climate change. We see sea level rise, we see flooding, inundation. We've had 2 record rain events that have washed out highways.
I can definitely see a difference in our islands from when I grew up. One of the main things I notice now when I go to the beach, like in Waikiki, the shoreline looks very different to me. Another thing is the temperature. It's so much hotter. When I was small growing up in Kaneohe, we never needed to have AC. It was always just trade winds. And now it's just so hot. Then I just heard the saddest story too, that our coral has started to bleach. So when I heard that, I was really saddened by that.
Climate change has had a huge impact on coral reefs in Hawaii. The main way climate change affects our coral reefs is through increased sea surface temperatures. The reef fish lose their homes, and that has cascading impacts on our island economy and food security.
Here at the town square, Hawaii Green Growth is showcasing the Aloha Plus Challenge dashboard. It's locally driven, and it provides a framework for the actions needed to achieve the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
The Aloha Plus Challenge is Hawaii's statewide framework for deriving local progress against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And launched in 2014, the Aloha Plus Challenge identified 6 priority areas, the first being clean energy transformation. Our clean energy transformation goal builds off of the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative in 2008 and tracking our high-level statewide energy goals. Our second goal is our local food production that is reinforced by Hawaii 2050 Sustainability Plan and aims in doubling our local food production and consumption by 2030. Our natural resource management goal really builds off of our conservation commitments such as the Hawaii Freshwater Initiative, our Hawaii Interagency Biosecurity Plan, and our Hawaii 30 by 30 initiative. Our solid waste reduction goals aim to reduce the waste stream by 70% by 2030. Our Smart Sustainable Communities measures different areas such as affordable housing, disaster and resilience management, and really tracks against Hawaii's commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement. Our Green Workforce and Education emphasize quantitative and qualitative data measuring the importance of equitable access to education and jobs in our workforce. Our metrics are derived from our Hawaii Green Growth Network, which is comprised of over 150 partners representative of public sector, private sector, and civil society. Together, we can really drive impact and make change with our community.
The City and County of Honolulu Climate Change Commission was started in 2017, and it was established at the same time as the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency. Our first piece of work was to develop guidance around sea level rise, to really develop a planning benchmark for how much sea level rise by when, and thinking about risk tolerance.
The city's first ever climate action plan was adopted by City Council this year, and this climate action plan is based on our backstop long-term goal, which is carbon neutrality by 2045. And it really focuses in on 3 main areas where the city has direct jurisdiction and direct influence, and that's land use and transportation, buildings and energy, and waste management.
The other area in which Hawaii is working in order to tackle climate change is in climate mitigation. So with Hawaii Green Growth, the Sustainable Business Forum, a number of different businesses, the Nature Conservancy is working together to help to demonstrate how our Hawaii forests, how our Hawaiian koa forests can play a part in removing carbon from the atmosphere, sequestering that carbon from the atmosphere.
Hawaiian Electric is really looking at it from an adaptation and a mitigation perspective. We really believe that working with our communities to make sure they're as strong as they can be, working with our governments to make sure they're as strong as they can be, And then our responsibility is to help make sure our infrastructure is as strong as it can be. Now, we really want to work on mitigating those carbon emissions to help prevent the problem and lessening the problem overall. But we also have to be ready when those things happen.
What was so powerful in the worldwide voyage was we met thousands of strangers, We don't know them, they don't know us. And what we would observe is just their own expression of malamahonua, which is simply an act of kindness, maybe in the poorest of communities, the worst of the slums, or it was in a watershed or a coral reef. We met thousands of people. They're not connected except for the value of kindness and giving to what matters. They're not doing it just for themselves. They're doing it for the earth.
We're aiming for 100% renewable by the year 2045, and we are well on our way. By the end of 2020, we were hoping to reach 30%. Well, we reached 35%. And this clean energy transformation in Hawaii, it's only possible through collaboration with many partners. Our government, our companies, our nonprofits, our universities, and all of us, our island communities.
I want to kick us off today to the topic that we're here to discuss, Talk Story, is Hawaii's clean energy transformation, where we started from, where we're going, and all of the really exciting things in between. In 2008, the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative was established, and our state established even bolder energy goals by putting into place a 100% renewable portfolio standard.
A big piece of what we do at Blue Planet Foundation is shaping policy, and the reason that we focus so much on that area is because we really believe in the power of policy to drive this transformation that we're seeking, and really from a systems perspective. We know that in order to change the trajectory on climate change, we have to move at a pace and scale that's unprecedented in human history.
Great reminder for all of us that, although we, think often and talk often about the 100% RPS goal, we have very important, very critical goals in years prior to 2045. We're also equally excited to think about that progress, not just only from the addition of renewable energy and the reduction of fossil fuels that goes along with it. We're also really excited about the environmental impact of that progress. So all of those things together really add up to some incredible progress from an environmental greenhouse gas perspective, in addition to our RPS.
With all these projects in the pipeline, we're adding hundreds of megawatts of clean energy into our system, while also, and this is key, curbing our reliance on fossil fuels to produce energy, which in turn reduces carbon emissions.
In response to this growing issue of climate change, Hawaii has really, to me, stepped up to the plate and taken ownership of showing what needs to be done. In 2008, I think one of the most important things was when the state of Hawaii launched its Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. And at Hawaiian Electric, our leadership at the time said, we ourselves need to step up to the plate and execute what became the Clean Energy Agreement at Hawaiian Electric.
We think it's important that we all go together on this transition to 100% renewable energy. So we need the right policies to make sure we do this by design and not by default. We've learned the power of setting that vision. It's really helped to foster collaboration and align our planning and unlock innovation.
So we've been working really hard in the last several years, starting around 2016, to really increase renewable energy and accelerate the pace of renewable energy on our grids in Hawaii to promote a more sustainable future. And so we really kicked that off in 2017. We had our, at the time, largest procurement in the state of Hawaii.
Our Tesla project was our first large-scale solar and battery project done on Kauai. It was a 13 megawatt by 4 megawatt hour system. At the time it was done, it was the largest project in the world, and it's been working really well since it's gone online.
we understand stakeholders as everyone in Hawaii. All of the people in Hawaii are the stakeholders because all of them are users of energy. And so it's really important to us as the Hawaii State Energy Office that our community engagement and our stakeholder engagement includes everyone.
Hawaii became the first state in the nation to adopt a 100% renewable energy goal. At Empowering Hawaii, you'll learn about grid-scale solar farms and wind farms and how we're exceeding our milestones.
Blue Planet Foundation is a Hawaii-based nonprofit committed to tackling climate change through empowering community and youth voices in shaping clean energy policy. In 2015, we led the campaign to help Hawaii become the first state in the country to pass a 100% renewable energy goal. We really elevated youth voices to help the law pass in 2015. And now, Hawaii is showing the world what a 100% clean energy future can look like.
At Hawaiian Electric, we take this goal to reach 100% renewable energy seriously. We're committed to reaching our goal by 2045 through a mixture of renewable resources, including wind, solar, hydro, geothermal, and many other different resources.
Thank you so much for supporting our efforts to reach 100% clean energy.
We look forward to reaching this goal together.
While large-scale solar projects contribute greatly to Hawaii's renewable energy mix, our largest contributor, thanks to you, is rooftop solar. Today, Hawaii has among the nation's highest percentage of rooftop solar per capita. Yet another example of Hawaii's leadership.
HSEA member companies are proud to be helping Hawaii achieve 100% renewable energy by installing rooftop solar and energy storage. We're helping our customers save money on their energy bills, decarbonize our economy, and make our island more resilient.
And I'm really proud and excited that we are leading the nation in rooftop solar and customer-sited batteries together in partnership with Rocky and the solar industry. But we have a lot more work to do. We recently issued a climate action plan where we are committing to reducing our carbon emissions by 70% by 2030. So a key way to get there is we're planning on adding 50,000 more customer rooftop solar systems by 2030. So we really need our customers' help, and we're encouraging them to get engaged with their energy usage, to check out our programs, and if it's right for them to invest in these resources that are really critical to Hawaii's clean energy future.
And now, with the help of a solar mobile studio, John Cruz, Jack Johnson, and dozens of other local artists join more than 1,000 keiki singing a Hawaii classic, Island Style.
On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. Mama's in the kitchen cooking dinner real nice. Beef stew on the stove, loamy salmon with the ice. We eat and drink and we sing all day. Kanika pila in the old Hawaiian way. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. We go grandma's house on the weekend clean, yeah. If we don't go, grandma gotta work hard. You know my grandma, she like to pour it real soft. I love my grandma every minute, every hour on the island. We ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. From the windward to the leeward side. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side.
Hokulea takes us into the wild. The voyage itself will take about 400 crew members from, we're hoping, about 26 countries. Diversity and equity and access matters. That this is not just a Hawaiian voyage, this is a global voyage. We'll be at sea for about 450 days and we'll be on land for 950 days. Every day is a story of ideas and people. You cannot make this movement by yourself. You have to have communications and education platforms that can get it to the billions. And then you need to have partners that are gonna essentially strengthen the stories, help us to access communities. We will go to indigenous territories and communities to make sure that these people have voice.
In 2018, Hawaii passed a law making it the first state in the country to commit to a zero-emission carbon target by 2045. From energy efficiency programs to electric vehicles, Hawaii is leading the way in creating a carbon-neutral to carbon-negative economy.
When you think about climate change, what's really important is decarbonizing our entire world. All of the industrial processes, all of the transportation that we use, all the electricity and power that is generated. And so decarbonizing is really the critical piece. A lot of people here in Hawaii have focused on the 100% renewable portfolio standard, or RPS. 100% RPS is one tool that can help us decarbonize. But the biggest issue is figuring out how to decarbonize our entire economy. That's the real goal that will help us mitigate climate change.
Thanks for coming here to talk about decarbonization in our economy. And it's such an exciting topic. I know as we've been hearing more about the needs in our world and how big climate change and how big the challenges are. Why is decarbonization in Hawaii important, and how is it going to make a difference?
There's a long tradition of indigenous Hawaiian knowledge and practice that's centered on aloha aina, reverence for a living landscape. So investing in sustainable food and energy systems mitigates climate change via the climate benefits of soil carbon sequestration, but also through avoidance of emissions elsewhere within the system. And so incentivizing land stewardship that both sequesters soil carbon, but also mitigates emissions elsewhere through avoiding imports of food, of fuel, of fertilizers, that's moving in the right direction to amplify our actions here within Hawaii.
I remember just about 3 years ago when Scott and I were in California getting ready for the Global Climate Action Summit with tons of states and cities, and it was after Hawaii had already passed 100% RPS, and everyone, the governor of California, everyone wanted to talk to Hawaii about how we actually did it, how we were going to get there, what that would look like, and then they announced their own 100% goal, and then their decarbonization goal, and other pieces from that too. So I think there's absolutely a spotlight on the work that we're doing in Hawaii, so we can actually become a real learning center for the world. And it's an exciting thought to think that we actually have people coming to Hawaii, interacting with Hawaii, investing in Hawaii, taking those learnings elsewhere.
At the Hawaii Executive Collaborative, one of our 4 focus areas is our climate challenge. The islands already have led by example in setting and pursuing renewable energy goals that are critical to reducing our carbon emissions and mitigating global warming. More than 30 members of the Hawaii Executive Collaborative have signed the Climate Pledge, which compels us to advance climate initiatives within our respective organizations and work outside our organizations to facilitate broader systemic climate progress. Our climate coalition is diverse, and we will not always agree on issues or solutions, but we will work together to find a path forward. It's not just our commitment, it's our kuleana.
So 10 years ago, there were only 300 passenger electric vehicles in the state, and now there's nearly 15,000. And so there's been tremendous growth over the last 10 years. And even during the pandemic, when there was devastating economic impact on the state, we saw that there was a 40% increase in electric vehicle sales, which to me indicates that we're at an inflection point, and the time is really now to be investing in this space.
Ulupono Initiative got involved in clean transportation because we recognized through our work in energy that 2/3 of the barrel comes in specifically for transportation. That's a significant amount of imported fuel. And so if we can decrease that dependence, we're going to be a lot better off. We're proud to be partners in Drive Electric Hawaii with Hawaiian Electric, Blue Planet Foundation, and so many others. It's a group really formed to try to further education, policy, and connection to electric vehicles as a solution to our clean energy future.
Hawaii is number 2 in electric vehicles per capita. We got here because for more than a decade, the Commission supported the expansion of EV adaptation. We're also encouraging more EV charging stations by offering rebates to anyone who wants to install workplace or public charging stations. While we have come a long way, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to further integrate EVs into our renewable energy future.
Learn how Drive Electric Hawaii is promoting electric vehicles and an EV charging infrastructure across the islands. Here in Hawaii, we're making great progress, but we still have work to do. So let's get moving.
I'd like to welcome you to our electric garage. I'm here to share a little bit about clean transportation in the state of Hawaii. There's an organization called Drive Electric Hawaii, which is a collaboration between government, utility, private entities, nonprofit, and advocacy organizations, all committed to clean transportation in Hawaii. Did you know that transportation is the largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions statewide, with ground transportation responsible for 25 to 30% of greenhouse gas emissions? So as we transition our cars and our buses to electric vehicles, we're able to power our transportation system with the sun and the wind.
Naturally, in the course of what we do, emits a lot of carbon and consumes a lot of carbon-based fuel. So we've really focused a lot in the last few years on what we can do in the short term and the long term to bend the curve on sustainability. In the long term, we've set a goal to have our operations carbon neutral by the year 2050. That's going to rely on technological advances that candidly do not exist today. Shorter term, we have to make progress with the technology that is available right now. That starts with an investment in newer aircraft that are more fuel efficient than the aircraft that they replace. It includes beginning to use sustainable aviation fuel that can reduce the fuel consumption in existing airline engines as we fly in our network today.
At Matson, our vessels navigate some of the most pristine and environmentally sensitive areas in the Pacific. It's important to us that we minimize our impact. All of our vessels meet or exceed the reduced emission tolerances of international maritime regulations. And our newest Kanaloa-class vessels are designed to meet the strictest international standards.
In light of the significant challenges climate change poses to our state, Alexander & Baldwin's commitment to environmental stewardship has never been stronger or more essential. In fact, A&B just completed a 1.3 megawatt project consisting of nearly 3,000 solar panels that covers more than 186,000 square feet. And we plan to pursue these types of initiatives over the next several years. More than ever, A&B is dedicated to building a better Hawaii today and for future generations.
Climate change is a global crisis that poses increasing risks to our communities here in Hawaii. At Central Pacific Bank, we're proud to have implemented energy efficiency initiatives and green practices across our organization. We have prioritized lending to renewable energy companies, and in 2022, we provided nearly $100 million in loans for customers to install residential PV systems. We are committed to sustainability and firmly believe our efforts are making a positive difference for our island home.
So American Savings Bank is really proud to offer a great clean energy loan program. It's our way of supporting our customers as they put on home improvements like PV or solar water heaters, and allows them to make the improvements and help get us to a clean energy future for Hawaii. A couple of months ago, we actually worked in conjunction with Hawaiian Electric to highlight their battery bonus program. And so we are trying to help educate customers about this wonderful program that allows customers to take advantage of a great rebate.
At Hawaiian Electric, we've set a goal to cut carbon emissions from power generation 70% by 2030. This includes our own generation as well as generation from our independent power producers.
This is critical, not just for Hawaiian Electric, but for all Hawaii. In addition to our commitment to 70% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030, we're also committing to net zero emissions by 2045, if not sooner.
The Climate Change Summit is a call to action for all of us to care for island Earth for future generations. The good news is we've already made a strong start, and this commitment moves us further on the path to sustainability.
We know it's an aggressive goal, but we have to commit to bold actions now if we're to stop climate change and ensure a more livable future for our children and grandchildren.
When the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative was adopted back in 2008, one of the big components of it, of the 70%, was that we needed to get there also through energy efficiency. It wasn't enough for us to just try and build our way there through a renewable technology future. And so part of the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative clearly called out that we needed to reduce our energy consumption. Hawaii Energy, we help Hawaii's families and businesses make smart energy choices.
Hawaii Energy and Blue Planet will share tips to help you make smart energy choices and make your kitchen and the rest of your home more efficient.
When it comes to climate change, one of the biggest ways you can make an impact is by making sure your efficient home is just that. So it means doing things like making sure all of your lighting is LEDs, making sure that when you do dishes or the laundry, you're using cold water when possible, and if you need to run the AC, shutting your doors and windows at the same time to keep your house cool. If you want to make a difference for the climate, this is one of the best ways to do it. So for more tips, visit hawaiienergy.com/tips.
You stand together and you move towards goodness. What I've been worrying about is what road is the young people going to take? And what I've seen, at least this tiny microcosm of young people, It is the most enriching, it is the most hopeful, it's the most privileged moment of my time, being with them. They're choosing courage, and they know it. We just need to give them opportunity to let them voyage in a way that they want to voyage.
In Hawaii, we're all in the same canoe, navigating toward a sustainable future for our islands and for all of us who live here. And so we do our part. And if we work together, we'll get there faster.
People's connection to place. That was always something that really inspired me about Hawaii, and part of the reason I wound up here is people are incredibly dedicated to protecting and preserving the spaces that made them who they are.
I think I'm hopeful because the discourse isn't just about how we survive, but it's about how we thrive, how we live in a space that is regenerative and that is full of possibility and a different kind of prosperity that is more than just our bank accounts or GDP, but our relationships, our health, our vibrancy, and a much deeper level, our ability to connect across communities and cultures.
The next generation, as I look at where we need to be. And what also gives me hope is when I look at the people that surround them, support them, that we gotta be in it for a bigger purpose than ourselves. That to me is something that provides hope.
The reason young people give me hope is that I see that they are inclusive, that they are intersectional, that they have great courage, they have vibrant energy, they are always playful and courageous, and that's what we need. These are times that require great bravery.
The University of Hawaii built HAVEN. That stands for Hawaii Advanced Visualization Environment Nexus. HAVEN is an interactive 3D energy planning tool. It tracks our progress and it helps us make big decisions about our future.
In Hawaii, our 6 isolated island grids provide unique challenges and opportunities not found anywhere else in the world. On Oahu, the state's most populous island, the delicate balance of how we allocate the nearly 600 square miles of paradise has become increasingly important as the state pursues a future free from imported fossil fuels. Hawaii's 100% renewable portfolio standard has rapidly increased the magnitude of energy investments in both capital and land use footprint. It is critical that stakeholders are engaged and informed on the impacts of significant decisions that must be made to transform the sector. The better energy plans and policies are understood, the better decisions can be made towards achieving the state's energy goals. HAVEN is a collaboration between the Hawaii State Energy Office, Hawaiian Electric, and the University of Hawaii at Manoa's Laboratory for Advanced Visualization and Applications.
The Hawaii Green Growth is a public-private partnership. It's a group of stakeholders, over 150 individuals and institutions that have come together locally in Hawaii to help achieve Hawaii's statewide sustainability goals and commitments. So what was happening in parallel in the international community is what was emerging is something called the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. And these are 17 goals to be achieved by the year 2030 that all member nations of the United Nations agree to. What's fascinating is that the Aloha Plus Challenge, Hawaii's statewide sustainability commitment, actually predates the SDGs, the global goals. And so Hawaii had a model in place prior to the international community recognizing that this is a global challenge that they were going to take on together. So Lilia, I'm just going to turn it over to you right away and kick it off. What opportunities do you see for our community and the global community to come together to drive meaningful action?
I believe the answers are in Hawaii, and I believe it's in our values. I believe it's in our community voice and community leadership. And I also believe it's in the experience and the work of our private sector, our nonprofit sector, and in our public sector working together. I'll just share about those foundational values and that we need to reaffirm those foundational values of aloha and malama, and specifically aloha aina and malama aina. And the first of them is really something that we've been working on really recently with the Sustainability Business Forum, with Hawaii Green Growth, and that targets Hawaii's ambitious goals and desires to meet those zero emission, reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and think about how we can do that. And one of those ways is through offsetting our carbon.
So Ulupo Initiative is committed to a more sustainable and resilient Hawaii, and we do that by working towards local food production, increased renewable energy production, clean transportation, and better management of fresh water and waste. So in this energy versus food or solar versus local food issue, we're in a kind of unique position in that we're on both sides of the question. We don't want to choose energy or food. We really want to find a way to get both. We want to help the state meet that 100% renewable energy goal by 2045 and the goal to double local food production by 2030. We don't have to choose.
When you think about Hawaii and how you have been promoting sustainability and regenerative tourism, can you talk to me a little bit more about that and how we could be a model for other economies?
They started to put forth regenerative principles that are part of our DNA culturally. Right? When Ulalia speaks of aloha and malama and kuleana, these are principles of regeneration, right? And so even before we talk about regenerative tourism, we need to be able to identify and appreciate that the origin of these principles do not come out of industry. They come out of ancestral knowledge, it comes out of family tradition. And so it's incumbent on the industry to step back and observe that this is what the communities are calling for. They're calling for a future that their children can remain here and afford to remain here and grow their families here. And the only thing authentic is our ability to sustain over the next generations a way of life that we can all be proud of, and one that is sustainable and regenerative.
Let's head back to Illumination Village one last time and check out Project Footprint, where they're encouraging everyone to take steps toward a more sustainable lifestyle and to reducing their carbon footprint.
Project Footprint is a way for Hawaii to come together to make conscious choices on how we can live and use energy for a sustainable energy future.
We can all do our part to reduce our carbon footprint and to help Hawaii reach net zero by 2045.
You can take small steps, like riding a bike or using public transportation, or take even bigger steps, like driving electric vehicles or installing rooftop solar.
Planting a tree is another great way to reduce your carbon footprint. Through the KHII Foundation, Project Footprint is a proud partner with Hawaii Legacy Reforestation Initiative.
Environmental stewardship is a key focus for Hawaiian Electric, and we invite you to join us in supporting our partnering organizations. For example, Polynesian Voyaging Society, the Nature Conservancy Hawaii, KUPU, and Malama Learning Center.
Hawaii Land Trust, Malama Mauna Lua, the Institute for Climate and Peace, and the Trust for Public Land are organizations that are doing a great job to protect Hawaii's land and waters.
The concept of aloha aina is something that is obviously near and dear to us as Native Hawaiians. And you know, our people thrived here for thousands of years before contact came. And so much of that indigenous innovation needs to be recaptured today. And it's really in our aina and how we view that, how we protect it, how we help it to thrive again. So many of the practices that we need to implement in the future is going back to those practices that were innovative during those native times. And we have an opportunity to still grab at that and to pull that into modern times and to really move Hawaii forward.
If we're going to transform Hawaii, we have to reverse what we have become good at. And that's to recover our expertise that can serve and be applicable to care for the rest of the world, export that, and import the resources. Not what we've become really good at. And that's why every initiative that is happening in climate change, in health, in mental health, in wellness, and education, all the crises that we've experienced in the past couple of decades are really the greatest opportunities for us to go and contribute to the world.
The world is hungry for a values-based conversation about how we're going to achieve these global goals and Hawaii's statewide sustainability goals. And growing up in Hawaii was significant and important for me that I was actually immersed in host culture values of aloha and kuleana and malama and ohana. And it was when I was actually working at the White House and working on sustainability and climate change negotiations, I realized actually that my perspective was informed by these host culture values, and that's really the opportunity for keiki and kids growing up in Hawaii that understand these values.
It's embedded in our Hawaiian culture. It's embedded in the blend of all of the cultures. And we have a responsibility right now of providing world leadership, and the people who visit here over time will become students that will seek a better understanding about how we coexist on an island, because the entire planet is about to understand and appreciate that the planet itself is an island. Our resources are limited, our interactions are very confined with one another. The islands of Hawaii have a lot to teach the world going forward.
Hawaii's to become 100% renewable and carbon neutral in a relatively short period of time. It's not just one company's kuleana, it's everyone's. But people have to understand the entire challenge to find their place.
It's really about people working together to find that path, to find a way to work together on a very tiny island, 2,000 miles away from the nearest land, and be able to sustain ourselves and to be able to share with the world what we've learned. So this is a microcosm of the world, and Hawaii has the opportunity to see what the world will see in the next 50 years.
Hawaii was the first state in the country to pass a 100% renewable energy goal, first state to set a net zero carbon emissions goal, and first state to enact a law that commits us to the goals and limits of the Paris Climate Agreement. There's so much to learn in our island communities where we're creating and refining ways to mitigate climate change, and that can be adapted and used globally. In essence, Hawaii can be a model for the nation and the world.
Hawaii has an opportunity to lead the world with our response to climate change in the coming years. Our transition to a clean energy future is already well underway, but we need to do even more in the coming years to accelerate our progress, cut our dependence on fossil fuels, and invest in renewable and sustainable energy in our state.
When it comes to clean energy and addressing climate change, Hawaii is leading the way. Hawaii is proving to be a model for the rest of the world, but you and I know there's still more work to do.
So we need to keep working together to become carbon negative, invest in green infrastructure, and preserve our oceans. We only have one planet. Let's make sure that we protect it for the next generation.
Slowing climate change is hard, but folks in Hawaii have done hard things before. And we're counting on you to keep showing us the way. Like the crew of the Hokulea, we're all in the same canoe. We're all in this journey together, and we will reach our destination.
Hokulea, Hikanalia will do its part. It won't do it by itself. You need the platforms and you need the partners. And that whole voyage of connecting to the earth and connecting to these people who can make change, we're working just as hard on those partners and those platforms as we are in getting Hokulea ready to go. When you try to imagine and add up how much goodness people are actually doing as individuals, not collected, not organized, not institutionalized, we should never do that. Just let that wave happen, let that movement happen. We're in the race between those who are essentially hurting the earth and those who are healing it. What we're trying to do is reclaim our relationship to the earth. It's our time to turn the canoe to the only island we have, and that's the earth.
E Hawaii e kuone hanaue Kuhome kulahivine Oli no au I nā pono langiro E Hawaii aloha Hawaii nei Oli e Oli e Mai nā ahe makani e pāmai nei Mau ke aloha Aloha Hawaii E hau oli e nā opi Hawaii nei Oli e Mai nā ahe makani e pāmai nei Mau ke aloha Aloha Hawaii.
Thank you, everybody. Mahalo. That's a wrap.
That is the one.
That's a wrap.